what you doing over there?
Nothing. Just watching this documentary about Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk.
Are you sure? Because I heard some sounds.
No.
Yeah, that sound. What's that?
I'm just a bit gassy.
Mm-hmm. Is that so? Yeah, there it is again. What you need to tell me what's going on here. What's happening?
Okay. Well, I found that cool rock.
Yeah.
And I brought it home, and I was like, "This is cool rock. I love this rock. I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna put it right by the radiator where it will look adorable and to be a cool rock."
Yeah. You've been warming that rock for a while.
Wasn't a rock.
Wasn't a rock.
Yeah, it kind of hatched. So I think that foregoes the whole rock aspect of it.
I suppose, yeah.
So I have a dragon now.
Oh!
And my plan is, if I train it to hate billionaires, then it will eat all the billionaires when it grows up big and strong. And we can destroy capitalism with my dragon.
I mean, I like the theory. I like the theory.
His name is Red, because he's a red dragon and also a fierce communist.
I mean, that's certainly going to help.
That's right. You eat that. You're going to eat that one. And the bald one. Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Magnet Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet Dale. And welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers. It's a podcast where two queer trans women, that's us, we're married types, we do little voices and silly voices and skits and try and make each other laugh and catch up on the media we've consumed in the week.
Media.
And talk about the things we have put into ourselves media-wise.
Gorged on media.
What have you been playing this week?
I've been playing. Well, technically not something we played this week. Technically something we played last week, and
But
I forgot to mention.
Talk about last week, as sometimes happens.
Yeah, we played through an unlock box, the whole thing in one night.
We did. We've talked about Unlock before. It is a series of escape room in a box things.
Escape room puzzles.
Yeah.
An adventure type thing.
Yeah. There'll be some kind of a narrative going on, and you're largely trying to combine, like, you're trying to spot numbers in images to get yourself cards that might be a blue or red half of a pair, and if you try and put a blue and a red together, they'll add up to a number, and if that number's in a deck, huzzah, you get the thing, work your way through a little mystery.
There might be machines in there that you have to learn how to operate.
Yep.
There might be some AR type stuff in there.
Yeah, there was some interesting stuff in this one.
Yeah, so this was the game adventure box.
Yes.
And it's all based on various board games.
Yes, so it was based on 3 board games that we've at least played. 2 of them are definitely fairly regular ones in our rotation, and one of them was a little more of a, we've played that.
We've definitely played that.
So there was an adventure based on what? Ticket to Ride?
First one was Ticket to Ride, which we've played with... we played the base game with your mum and dad.
Oh, yes.
The second one was Mysterium.
Mysterium, yes.
Mysterium, which we've played a decent amount of that. I think we talked about it a lot here. It's sort of a murder mystery thing. And the last one was Pandemic, which we've talked about an awful lot on this show.
Yeah.
And it was just fun theming. With regards to that, obviously the Ticket to Ride one had sort of a murder mystery vibe of you're on a train and there's a mystery and there's all things happening and work out how to get into this carriage and investigate certain things, and obviously no spoilers, but that was a fun little story.
Of the 3, I feel like Ticket to Ride maybe did the least to directly tie itself to the mechanics of its the game it's based on.
I think it would be hard to be honest.
It was thematically, it's on a train.
Yeah.
And it was a nice little adventure on a train. I think it's Mysterium and Pandemic's ones that, without getting in too much into specifics, I think did much more interesting jobs of combining mechanics that felt thematic to the games they were based on, as well as like the tonal theming.
I mean, I don't think it's spoilers to say that the Mysterium one is based on the concept of somebody has died and you are a medium, and that is what the game Mysterium is about as well.
Yeah.
So in this case, you're trying to sort of decipher clues from around the building, gain various bits, and try and work out what all those mean, and then coming together to find a solution and work out that. No spoilers, but yeah, that was a fun little murder mystery that does some really cool things with the arrangements of the cards and sort of maps and things that we found.
The Mysterium one I really, really enjoyed once we got over one initial hurdle where there was one puzzle right near the beginning, and
it was too obvious.
It was staring us right in the face, and we just completely couldn't see the forest for the trees, I think is the phrase.
Yeah.
Once we got past that, it flowed really well. It was just...
Yeah. It was too obvious, and therefore we struggled.
Yes, we were looking at it and trying to overthink it a bit.
Massively.
Yes. The Pandemic one I thought was fantastically put together.
Hugely thematic for the pandemic theme. You've got like a board representing the like pandemic world map. You've got cards representing various roles that you can play.
Yeah.
So we had like I think the quarantine expert was in there, and the dispatcher and things like that.
You had a little map that you could put your... you had disease cubes to pop on your little map.
You got a small bag of disease cubes to try and work out, and you've got to literally go to these places and like take samples of the disease and try and find that, like look at it under a microscope and try and work out what a cure would be for that.
I think my favourite thing about the Pandemic one is it had mechanics of its own that honestly wouldn't have felt that out of place in actual Pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, it came up with its own ideas where I was like, oh yeah, if you could make this into an expansion for Pandemic and be like, oh yeah, it's the inspecting things under a microscope.
Yeah.
A little expansion.
Yeah, you could do something like that. That would be pretty cool. Yeah. It was really nice, really thematic, and it did interesting things. And the good thing about the unlock boxes is you can just finish them and pass them on. So,
yeah, they're not like, is it the exit ones that occasionally involve destroying components?
Almost entirely involve destroying things,
and
cutting bits out.
And there's one of the other companies that has like a set number of single-use digital codes to use them.
Yeah, we don't talk about that one.
Yeah, I forget what that company's called, but Unlock's pretty good at like making them resettable and passable. And yeah, this was a really fun like afternoon of doing puzzles together.
Yeah, it was nice to sit down. We got I got the box as a hatching day gift, so it was nice to sort of sit down and do them. And I think previously with these sort of things, I think we were passed on an unlock box from some of our local board game friends.
Yeah.
So we will probably end up passing this to them and then on to the next people in our chain.
Yeah.
Who knows? That's just going to be a thing of passing games around that little chain of people. It's it's nice to do and fun, and we have a lot of fun with those. And I do like the fact that they are reusable, if not necessarily by the people who initially started with them. Yeah. But if you get like a bunch of people who are into that kind of thing, you can probably form chains and start sending them along to various people.
Yeah.
The last one we did, we put a little note in the bottom of the box to be like, we played this first and we finished it, and we hope you enjoyed it too. Maybe add your details and maybe send us an email and let us know that you did it too.
Yeah.
Pass it along. Yay. But it seemed like a fun thing to do. What about you? What have you played?
Oh, I've been playing so much Hi-Fi Rush.
What?
Oh, Hi-Fi Rush is so good. I have to talk about this video game. So, about a week ago, Xbox hosted their first, Nintendo Direct equivalent, Xbox and Bethesda Developer Direct, and the only thing you need to know about it is they surprise announced and released the same day a game called Hi-Fi Rush. The name of it leaked that morning, a trailer and gameplay was shown in the evening, and then a couple of hours later it was playable.
Wowza.
It is on Game Pass. If you don't have Game Pass, it is £30. It is
Does have Denuvo.
It has Denuvo on PC, unfortunately, that is what it is, but this game, for 30 quid, we've barely finished the first month of the year, and I'm very confident this will be in serious contention for my game of the year. This is from Tango Gameworks, who are the studio behind The Evil Within, The Evil Within 2, and Ghostwire Tokyo. So they are known for, like, serious, often, like, gritty kind of horror-themed games. And it is a beautifully colourful, cel-shaded music rhythm game, but also a character action game. It feels like if you tried to mix something like Cadence of Hyrule or that sort of thing with a Devil May Cry, but it was colourful and neon and over the top. The art style is gorgeous. It's the most immediately noticeable thing about this game is that it is one of the most, like, well-realised, cel-shaded 3D art styles I've ever seen. I think it's gonna hold up visually very well for a long time.
Yeah, I think it's gonna have that Wind Waker type thing of if people joke about it now, and I don't think they are, but in 10 years' time, I think it's still going to look as good as it does today, and it's not going to lose anything by having that stylized thing.
It's got, like, great use of colour, but also, like, very bold outlines around characters, good use of, like, comic-style dot matrix shading, all runs really smoothly. This game is just, like, putting aside the music rhythm element, it is a very, very competent character action game. If you enjoy those sort of, like, here is a big move list and a bunch of combos to learn and fight a bunch of, like, tough enemies and go through a bunch of waves of bosses, this is a really good one of those. But where it really excels is how well it incorporates its music rhythm theming. All of the levels are set to music, and if you attack, all of your attacks will always hit on the beat. No matter when you press the button, they'll always hit on the beat, which makes you feel like you're powerful, like you're doing things correctly, everything flows really nice. But if you actually do hit the button on the beat correctly, you get a little bonus, and certain bits of your combo will happen if you, like, oh, I hit this note exactly on the note and I got a little finisher at the end of my combo, or something like that. It is a lot more accessible to get into than a lot of music rhythm-based things are because of that. You can hit the button whenever you want and it will still do the attack, but it really rewards you with little flourishes for putting in that effort to be on the beat. That combination works really nicely. It is over the top and exaggerated and silly, but it fully commits to that. This is a game that is very clearly built out of a love of a very specific kind of anime. There is an entire level and boss that is very clearly JoJo's Bizarre Adventure inspired, for example. Like, it wears its inspirations on its sleeve, but it's unashamed about the fact that it's, like, it's a little bit exaggerated, a little bit nonsense, but it never shies away from that. It never tries to be anything less than turned up to 11 in that regard. Mechanically incredibly satisfying. The music's great. So the music, like, as default, boss fights are set to pieces of licensed music. There's stuff from, like, The Prodigy, Nine Inch Nails, a bunch of bands. I'm really impressed at how good the, like, streamer mode alternate music for if you're playing on Twitch and you don't want to get DMCA'd is. I've done a whole playthrough with the, like, original Bethesda-made soundtrack or, like, Tango-made soundtrack, and I've played a couple of bosses with the licensed music. I honestly prefer the streamer mode original tracks. I think they're great. I think, like, it's always impressive to me when it's like, oh yeah, no, I'll turn off the licensed music. This is the good shit.
And so many people will never experience that.
Exactly, but it's a nice little treat that I'm like, if you're enjoying this game and you're gonna do a second playthrough of some of these levels, try in streamer mode, because, like, there's good tracks in there. Really fun, exaggerated characters. There's nothing I don't like about this game, really. The closest I have to a complaint is the final boss of the game, spoiler-free. One of the phases of the final boss fight kind of breaks the rules established earlier by the game.
Oh no.
And I had a couple of deaths working out what it wanted from me, and I felt a little bit cheated in one phase of the final boss fight. That is the biggest complaint I can have about it, is of like, what was it, like 5 or 6 phases of that boss fight, one of them felt a little cheap. The game constantly outdoes itself and one-ups itself. Genuinely will be surprised if there is a game this year that, like, leapfrogs over this in my game of the year, watch. It is everything I enjoy out of a game like this. I an hour into playing this, the night it released, I went on Twitter and was like, I've only played an hour of this game, but I'm pretty sure that Hi-Fi Rush is going to be one of my Game of the Year contenders. And now that I have finished, like, I've played up through the credits and then almost finished the post-game stuff. Yeah, no, I was totally right. I had the right gauge of my impression from like an hour in.
And who says you can't tell the quality of a bad game by just playing the first 2 hours?
I mean, look, there's ways this could have fucked itself up, but like, it was very much a case of I am loving this as long as it doesn't make any major fumbles. Amazing. It is right up there for me with like, I love these kind of like narrative heavy music as gameplay titles. This is going to go on that collection alongside like Sayonara Wild Hearts, Wonder Song, of like games I go back and play every now and then when I'm just looking for music themed gameplay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hi-Fi Rush is really good.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yay.
Yeah. Has a bunch of really good accessibility settings. Also, the whole level design. Sorry, I keep thinking things to say about it. I really like that you can press the select button at any time to have just like a visual metronome on screen to like remind you of what the beat is, if you struggle with hearing the beat. But also, a bunch of stuff on screen will always be bouncing in time with the beat, whether it's your footsteps as a character being on beat, the health bar just slightly bouncing on the beat. Like, so many elements in the game world sort of do things in with the beat just to remind you where the beat is. I'm like, that's such a nice little touch. What about you? What have you been playing?
Oh, nothing quite so exciting. I've been back and played a bunch of Deep Rock Galactic.
Oh, we played some of that the other night.
Yeah, we did.
How are you finding it?
It's nice to be back playing it.
Yeah.
It's been a while. As long-term listeners will know, I completely burnt myself out playing through the first season of that.
Yeah.
In like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes.
Because I sort of hadn't really played it much. I was having a bit of a rest because I played it a bunch. And then it was like, oh, there's a season pass and it's ending soon. Nebulously. Like, I must get all the things. So I rushed through it, got all the things. And there was still like 2 weeks left at the end. But still fairly close to the wire.
Yeah.
And I think I just massively burnt myself out on it. I didn't really care to play it much anymore, which is a shame. I missed all of season 2. I didn't go back into it at all.
Yeah.
Here we are now in season 3, and I don't know how much of that is left, but I've had a nice time playing what's there now, enjoying the current Lunar New Year stuff, which means there's a little rabbit totem thing you can get, which gives you double XP for the mission, which is quite nice for trying to get through all the season pass stuff. Not super fussed. I'm just sort of focusing mainly on the cosmetic things, like what is a cool cosmetic as opposed to what is all the cosmetics.
Yeah.
Which was a big thing last time. So I'm just going, yeah, I'll have that hairdo or that mask.
Yeah.
Whatever sort of appeals in that sort of direction. So yeah, it's been nice to get back into it that way. The new stuff that's going on with the meteor shower and the rock pox has been quite interesting, if a little aggravating, if in higher difficulties. But yeah, it's nice to see new stuff, and that game is still something I do want to play, even if I do occasionally need to take breaks when I've massively overdone it trying to rush through content.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still space dwarves doing mining and going and getting stuff, and it's still DRG. What about you? What have you played?
It's just been Hi-Fi Rush.
It hasn't just been Hi-Fi Rush.
I mean, that's been the main thing.
But you also played Vagrant Song.
Oh, I did play Vagrant
You
Song.
did?
I was thinking about things I played myself. It's just been Hi-Fi Rush. We did play Vagrant Song. Have we talked about the?
No.
No. So this was a gift we got over the holidays.
Yeah, this was a holiday gift from local game friends.
Yeah. Do you want to explain Vagrant Song?
So, it's kind of a tactics game, I guess.
Yeah.
With a lot of RNG because it largely revolves around dice rolling. So the theme is you are basically hoboing along the Great American Railroads, and there is a great video on the No Plan Included channel about the myth of Vagrant Song and the mythology of that and the history of hoboing.
Yes. And the ways that it sometimes has really interesting ideas and other times like completely conflates bits of history and culture in ways that are very strange.
Yes.
It's a bit of a mess in that regard.
Yes. This probably isn't a game I'd have bought myself, but now I have it, it's like, yeah, I'm quite enjoying it so far.
Yeah.
We played through the first 2 missions.
Yes.
So, first mission is sort of very much a tutorial of you've come on board this train, and it's now like an infinity train situation where you're going to be going on, and your goal is basically to beat the humanity back into ghosts.
Yeah. I was gonna be like, no, there's more new. No, you're basically
there isn't.
beating the humanity into ghosts.
Beating the humanity back into ghosts. There are ghosts, or haints as they're called in the game, and they have like a certain amount of a humanity threshold, and a certain number of required breaks. Every time you beat enough humanity into a haint, they will basically break, which means you will progress one step closer to beating that particular level and defeating that haint. There will be potentially events in a little hidden bag that you're taking things out of. That's a little checkered gingham checkered bag that's called the bindle appropriately. Yeah. You have numbers that might be across various bits of the board. So, say if you get to if you've broken the haint twice, there might be a thing that you've got to unlock. So it's like, okay, go there, go and read this passage, and it might be that the haint becomes more aggressive or changes its mood because the AI also relies on things in the bindle, and it's so basically for a player's turn, you will basically take place your coins on various actions. You have 3 coins which select either which actions or how many of that action you'll do, or how powerful that action will be.
Yeah.
You could spend all 3 coins on one action and potentially make that super powerful and do one thing, but it will limit what you can do because your things are like move or hit the enemy or explore or rummage through the bindle to try and get stuff.
And I think the biggest one that sort of exemplifies that you sometimes have to overcommit to things is investigation, where sometimes you'll find a number on the board, and before you know how successful or not you have to be at investigating that thing, you have to decide how many of your coins you're putting on investigate. That'll determine how many dice you're rolling, and maybe you might need multiple successes to do that investigation.
Yeah. The first time you won't have a clue, but after that you will at least know how many you need to do it.
You have to balance that. Do I put all 3 of my coins on there to make sure I've got as many dice as possible to try and get multiple successes, at the risk of, I only needed 1 success, I didn't need to do that, versus I only put 1 on there and it needed at least 2 successes, I literally can't do this.
Yeah. It's a fascinating system that they've created.
Yeah.
I like the transparent acrylic standees they've got.
Yep.
So they're all the standees, instead of being like cardboard, are transparent acrylic with like a print on them, and they are incredibly vibrant. They look great on the board. The way that the 3 boxcars together form this constantly evolving board throughout the entire campaign is quite interesting. We as I say, we're two missions deep so far, so we've defeated the Turned Faces.
Yep.
Which were like a family of 3, seemingly. And no matter which way you turned the standee around, they were always facing away from you.
Yeah. One of those moments where this game had a good idea.
Yeah.
There's some of them in there. Just in amongst some, like, you didn't quite get that.
What this? What will happen here? But yeah, I've enjoyed playing it. I am curious where the story is going, how big this story is, because there seems to be quite a lot in the book.
I think it was you that said while we were playing this that it, and I agree with you on this, that it reminded you of like a Gloomhaven light a little bit in terms of like
it's lighter and more random.
It is lighter and more random, but it's got that same sort of casual dungeon crawl multiplayer vibe to it.
I don't know. I mean, Jaws the Lion is quite casual, but like Gloomhaven and Frosthaven are not particularly casual.
I say this like very specifically thinking Jaws of the Lion and like early Jaws of the Lion missions.
Yeah, that sort of like just getting to know, and we don't know how much more deep it's going to get, but as far as I can tell, it's not going to get super difficult because we've seen, as far as I'm aware, that all of the sort of props that can go on the board and things like that. The only thing I think that could surprise us if it's one of those games where it's like, aha, you've got to this point, now look under the inserts. There's a bunch of extra components back there. Woo!
I mean, I'd never put that past a game like this.
I wouldn't put it past it like this either. There's been a couple of times I've been tempted to peek and it's like, nope, don't do it.
Don't look until you're told.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think games like this have sort of got me into that mindset of don't go poking through the box too closely.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's I'm enjoying it so far. It's I would be curious what this is like in larger player counts.
Yeah.
But as is, I am enjoying it at its current state. You have the sort of main mission section, and once you've defeated the mission, you have this sort of camp phase where you can like pool any money you've gained during the level and your own coins, and spend that to get power ups, get special skills, get you can do a seance to get special powers in the next mission. You can save. You can like just save the game at that point and pack it back in the box. There's a quite convenient way for doing that. Then you have to witness the in-between, which is like a special... It's similar to the road cards in Jaws the Lion and Gloomhaven of just, okay, we're going to read a thing, everyone's going to make a decision, and rather than it being a group decision, you secretly choose A, B, or C, everyone's revealed, and then each person gets benefits or not from those particular options.
Yeah. I will say the one of them we've had so far felt a little random chance there wasn't really a way to know.
Yes.
Compare this to something like Jaws of the Lion. I never in that felt like the town cards. It's like, that consequence I got for that choice was completely unforeseeable. Yeah, I could have guessed that could have worked out that way.
I mean, without too many spoilers, the in between for the first mission is basically you are experiencing a sensation. What's the sensation? Are you slightly confused? Do you feel basically okay, but a bit unsure about something? Or does this remind you of a long time ago, but it's not as comforting as it should be?
Well, it was,
and that's basically like that. That's paraphrasing.
Yeah. Here's a bit of sensory data and a feeling. Pick between those. Oops! Turns out one of those three gets you nothing. But two of them were important feelings and memories. One of them was just like, nah. It's like.
Yes, get the two autistic people to pick between the senses of feelings of other people.
How am I supposed to know that this smell and associated feeling is relevant?
Or not. Yeah, I don't know. I would be curious to see what sort of further things happen with that.
Agreed.
But that is what we found so far. And yeah, Yeah, it's. I'm glad we're doing it, and I think this will be another one because it's that sort of campaign of we can pop it all together at the end of it and pass it on to more people to try out. But I also like the fact that like one of the first, as soon as you open it, there's like a piece of card on the front that's like, hey, there's this page in the back of the manual that you're gonna have to like pencil mark with your progress to like do the campaign bits of the game. But also, if you go to the website, you can print them off.
Yay!
Here's the thing, and we did that, so we don't have to write in the back of the book, which means we can pass it on without injury.
Huzzah!
Entirely resettable. Woo!
Always appreciated.
Yeah, because especially with something with acrylic standees, like, don't make that just waste at the end of this.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this with legacy games before. I really prefer it when something like Exit, like it was all paper. So you can just, although it is like, okay, that's all gone now, but you can just stick it in the recycling at the end of it. Whereas something like Pandemic, I think, did a decent job of keeping plastic stuff to a fair minimum.
And at the very least, the plastic components in that were the sort of generic thing you could probably reuse with a different game down the line.
And through various reasons, either through upgraded board bits or because occasionally we've got Kickstarters that have come with the original like cardboard tokens and upgraded tokens. Yeah. We now have a Pandemic Legacy Season 2 box that's just full of bits from games that we don't necessarily need for one reason or another.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. The art style was a choice.
Yeah.
I think I've recent years, like learning the history and stuff and following the kinds of YouTube creators I do, I am a little bit more wary of anything that chooses to use the rubber hose animation style.
Yes.
Especially having looked at that, no pun included, video where they were talking about, here's the early art, and it doesn't have that style at all.
Yes, and particularly when you're in a world where, like, things like Cuphead came out, and there was a lot of discussion about the origins of rubber hose and the problems associated with it, and you then look at a team making a game that decided to change from an art style into rubber hose, you go, you probably didn't do that unknowingly.
Or they did and they didn't think about it enough, or they don't know enough about the history. And I think that was the same thing that happened with Cuphead, that they got into it and I don't know if they knew enough about the history around rubber hose.
It's one of those things that, like, the use of rubber hose here feels very similar to that video we were watching about Vagrant Story that discussed the fact that, like, Haint Blue was a colour specifically used for warding off haints, but this game has made the
haints are blue.
They're made out of Haint Blue, the thing that they're supposed to be warded away by. It's one of those, like, it seems like there was some, we sort of know that this is kind of period appropriate or something to do with the topic, but haven't stopped to go, what does this actually mean, or what is its importance, and do we want to convey that?
We had some ideas, we jammed them all together. Hi, we're Dan Brown of Board Games.
Yeah.
It's got that vibe, which is why I wouldn't have bought it myself, because I think I watched that video probably shortly after Vagrant Song came out. Yes. So I'd sort of put it on the, no, it's interesting, but I wouldn't have got it. But since it was a gift, I'm like, oh, we'll give it a go. And we will report back on if anything seems super problematic as we go further in.
Well, we'll see.
So far, I think we've had some decent diversity from the cast.
Yeah.
I'm playing the what's she, the Curse Breaker.
Yes.
And she's wearing like she has a head covering.
Yeah.
And we've got also the I can't remember what his name is. The guy that's mostly green with the bindle. He is.
Yes.
He seems to be a black character. Then you've got the Empress, who is white. I guess that makes sense. The song's characters we didn't pick, and the Nihilist. We didn't pick the Nihilist, the Empress, or the Songsmith.
Yeah.
Basically, we picked the only two girls. And what about you? You play anything else?
That's all I've played, really. I could talk more about Hi-Fi Rush. Oh, Hi-Fi Rush.
Next week.
It's so good.
So some next week.
Oh yeah, well, next week maybe it'll be far enough away that I can talk about the post game stuff I've been doing.
Well, you can talk
Ooh,
about whether you enjoyed all the post game stuff by then.
I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Well then,
time for this.
greetings.
Hello.
Have you perils?
I do have perils. I have like bills and rent and stuff.
Do you struggling to find full-time work?
I mean, yeah, the economy's not great right now.
Affordable housing?
I don't have that, but I'd appreciate that.
Would you like unlimited leisure time?
Yes, that sounds like a little too good to be true, but yes, I would.
Come work for the giant evil Roboco.
Wait, evil Roboco?
Giant evil Roboco. All one word.
Okay, well, it sounds like it was multiple words, one of which was evil.
No, one word. Giant evil Roboco.
Okay.
It's not at all sinister.
I'm not convinced.
Fellow human, I think you would very much enjoy the working for Giant Evil Roboco.
Humans don't often say fellow human.
Oh, colleague human, you will enjoy it. We definitely won't be using you just as a battery in our Matrix that we learned from watching the Matrix.
I mean, no other companies are offering me affordable housing. Sure, fine. How bad could this be?
Yay!
Hello and welcome back, everyone. We've got a wonderful video for you today. Many of you in the comments keep asking, I'd like to get into video streaming just like you, and, what do I need as the very basic entry point to get into streaming? So I thought, me with my 3.2 million followers here, would tell you everything you need to know for day one becoming a streamer. Now, some people out there will tell you it's absolutely fine to start with a little 30 quid, like a Blue Yeti or something, one of those USB microphones. What I say to them is, if you don't have crystal clear audio from day one, your stream viewers will throw you in the trash. You will be less than the shit on their shoe. USB microphone, USB get in the fucking bin. If you are spending less than £700 on a microphone, your first stream will be a disaster, a dumpster fire. You will have the worst stream anyone's ever had. Now, getting onto cameras, some people say they're not necessarily relevant when you're starting. Maybe just have gameplay on screen and just have your voice. Absolutely false. Forget it. If you are not investing from day one into a cinema-grade camera that you can connect to your capture card in your very expensive PC, what are you even bothering with? Do you even want to be a streamer? Because you are essentially doing nothing. If you are not spending $3,000 on your camera, why even bother streaming? Right, any questions in the chat? We got any questions in the chat? No. Those of you who think you've watched streams from people who have low quality settings, you are wrong. I do not care what you think. You are wrong. Those setups cost a lot of money. I'm right. Thank you everyone for watching. Make sure to click like and subscribe.
So, what have you put in your eyes?
We watched a new episode of Game Changer.
We did.
That game show that changes the rules every week, and no one knows what it is until they're playing it over in Dropout. This one was called As a Cucumber.
As a Cucumber.
Yeah. I thought this was another of their every now and then there'll
Partly
be
because there's bits that go up on TikTok.
Yeah. Every now and then there'll be an episode of Game Changer where I'm like, this one you were onto a winner. You had a really good idea here. How much do we say about the concept of this episode?
From the TikTok, it came across that perhaps the purpose of the episode was another one to wind up Brennan.
That did seem to be the purpose.
And kind of, but no.
Not entirely what's going on. How about we put you through a bunch of scenarios and you have to stay calm? I think that
as a
much.
Cucumber.
Yeah, cool as a cucumber, as it were. I I think they found a neat way of mechanically scoring the thing they wanted to be scoring.
Yes.
And had some really fun prompts to work with.
Yeah.
I continue to very much enjoy Game Changer. Not every episode is like a complete slam at the park for me, but like it is. I like it in the same way I like anthology series. I like try a bunch of little things and see what works.
It is a show I'm always happy to watch. So yeah, it's all good.
What about you? What did you watch this week?
We watched a film.
Oh, we did.
We watched The Menu.
We did. How do we describe The Menu? It's a good film.
What if a bunch of toffs went to an island where there was a fancy restaurant and a celebrity chef, kind of, who has become to the point where this is the kind of restaurant where people are lucky if they've ever come here once.
It feels sort of like, not quite the same vibe, but in the category of, like, celebrities who go and get the Salt Bay guy, who did that, like, sprinkling of salt meme once, and go to his restaurant to have his, like, gold-covered meat or whatever that he serves, because he's a hot guy from a meme that is a chef.
Oh.
Where it's like, you don't necessarily go to see that person at that level of price, at that level of fame, for the food. You're going to be able to say you went and ate at so-and-so's restaurant.
Yeah, there's a
up
bit
there
of that.
with,
like dinner at the Ritz and going to like one of Marco Pierre White's restaurants and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Going to a place that's the Michelin star restaurant so you can tell people you went to a Michelin star restaurant. Like that kind of...
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But, like, people with obscene amounts of money who are... just don't really value the thing. They value the cred of it.
Yes.
And, there's some interesting things, and it's a thriller, so make of that what you will.
I'll say this. It feels like... I've been thinking about what to compare this to, and it feels like a horror counterpart to something like Glass Onion, in that it's obviously not like one-to-one, but it feels like it's dabbling in some of the same space with some of the same themes, with some of the same like philosophy behind what it's trying to get across.
The ultra-wealthy, the breaking down of the characters versus the persona, that sort of things. Yeah, I can see that sort of thing.
It's got a bit of that, but it's much more of a basically single-setting film that I think has like impeccable pacing. I think the thing this film does very well is it balances tension and payoff in a very limited space very well.
Yeah.
For a film that is quite heavy and quite serious and quite like dark and scary in places, masterful use of comedy, just enough for little bits of levity.
Yeah, its comedy is dark, but beautifully timed and so snarky.
It's, again, like, it feels at home with stuff like, say, not necessarily Jordan Peele's horror films by themselves, but Jordan Peele's overall career in that sort of sense of, it feels like it's come from a background of someone that knows that horror and comedy are, you know, different ways you can release tension and subvert expectation. And this is very effective at just a little joke, just a little well-placed joke here and there to, okay, I can breathe for a second before it restarts the build. Wonderful performances.
Yeah, wonderful performances, beautifully acted. The ending is stunning.
There's multiple times where this film isn't... I thought I had a handle on what it was going to be, and then it caught me off guard in nice ways. It is a masterwork in terms of knowing when the most impactful moment to release tension is.
Yeah, and it does that, as we said, in like a number of ways, either through humour or violence.
Yes.
And I think that is a cracking film, and
Yeah.
I had a good time with it.
Yeah. If all of this sounds interesting to you, read up nothing more. Go watch it. It's great.
It's funny because I had
Yeah.
been like, oh, I'm just gonna look up a list of like psychological thrillers to watch because I'm in a mood for that, and then I ended up not watching anything on that list. And instead, just getting on with a bunch of work stuff.
Yeah.
And then the next day, you were like, we could do the thing. It's like, okay, we'll do the thing.
I kept seeing TikToks from someone who I enjoy their media criticism. I kept seeing the very beginnings of TikToks they'd made about like various courses during the meal.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, if this is a film that has lots of like distinct solid scenes that are worthy of their own like breakdown of individual scenes, I'm like, okay, the idea seemed interesting. I should probably watch it.
Mm.
Yeah,
I don't have any film criticism TikTok. I need to move into that.
TikTok's been good for me. It got me onto Severance.
Yeah.
Pushed me to watch The Menu.
Yeah. Amphibia.
It's pushed me in some good directions.
Yeah. Well,
The Menu's so good.
have you watched anything else?
I have not watched much else. I watched the Xbox and Bethesda Developer Direct, as I said earlier. Literally the only thing like of note about it was here's gameplay for 4 games that have already been announced that you already know when they're coming out. Here's the surprise drop for Hi-Fi Rush. The thing I will say is it really feels like the surprise drop of that game out of nowhere, and it's available tonight. Felt like Microsoft or Xbox making a big swing to be like, these are worth watching. Take our Nintendo Direct competitor seriously.
Yeah.
More so than I think, like, I don't think Sony's State of Play has ever quite this well achieved. Yeah, we're a serious thing that you should tune in for, even if it's just for that one surprise, the way that Microsoft did here. So I think kind of impressive job they did. The other thing that we watched together was People Make Games on YouTube.
Oh yes.
Their latest documentary, Working at Valve: A Fearless Adventure or Lord of the Flies, which
It's
is
that second one, isn't it?
It might be that second one. A really interesting deep dive into the company workplace structure at Valve.
Yes.
And how it is sort of presented to get people in the door, and how it works in practice, and the kinds of people and projects that it disadvantages.
Yes.
The short version being, Valve has a no one is a boss, everyone works on whatever they want to work on structure, and that sounds great on paper, but largely benefits cis-straight white men of a certain disposition, from a certain background, that can fit into a certain social setting.
And despite claiming that there are no bosses, there are very definitely bosses. Especially Gabe, who says he is the least boss of anyone.
Yes, and that whole power structure is kind of fascinating.
Fascinating and I feel like intrinsically designed to just basically, like capitalism, set everyone against each other to try and be like just working to a ridiculous standard that they're probably not necessarily being paid for.
Yeah.
But that's capitalism, baby.
That is indeed capitalism, baby.
But yes, it's go watch it. It's well researched. It's very interesting, and I'm sure a lot of you can probably guess all the awful things that is Valve. But yeah, maybe that's maybe that's not. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe you don't know. Give it a watch. We watched it. It's like 30-40 minutes long.
Yeah,
like
I continue to be a big fan of People Make Games.
Yeah,
His
they
work,
make good stuff.
They are consistently right on the money on these things.
I appreciate the documentaries they do and learning more about the sort of stuff that we take for granted when playing video games. Even though we, try to do a decent job of keeping on top of these things, I'm constantly surprised because weirdly, like, I expect to hear most of it from the likes of Jason Schreier or Steph, and I'm always surprised that they have things on People Make Games about stuff that I've not necessarily heard of before.
I think the thing to be said is that Jason Schreier is very good at this is a thing that's ongoing right now, that is breaking, that is happening. I will report on it as it's happening. People Make Games are very good at finding things that have been ongoing for a long time.
Here is an endemic
and
problem.
have been endemic enough that, like, they're not interesting breaking news enough to get headlines.
Yeah.
But that really should have more attention on them than they have historically had.
Yeah.
That is a niche that they fill very well.
Oh, yes. Have you watched anything else?
That's it for me, really, I think. What about you? Have you watched anything else?
Well, event of the century.
Yeah?
Event of the year, certainly. And we're very early on in the year. So, there is a channel on TikTok called See Ya Later. SEA.YA.later. And they do a series called Hell's Bells.
Yes, this is a bunch of skits played by one person, a bunch of characters in hell.
Play a bunch of characters in hell, and they basically work the help desk, 2 L's. And it's a combination of arseholes who are just the kind of horrible entitled people they were in life, coming up to the desk demanding that there's been a mistake, demanding to speak to the manager, this, that, and the other. And it's quite fascinating that the amount of stuff that's come out of this. Like, See You Later makes videos pretty much every day, and has done for a long time.
Yeah,
So much so that...
Quite the rich lore.
Oh yeah, like, the lore is pretty intense. This was one of the first channels I stumbled into on TikTok, and it's one I still very much look forward to all the new content for. So they made a video the other day being like, hey, I'm having some trouble with TikTok, and I've got to create an escape plan just in case, so I've got a YouTube channel, if you want to try that. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go over there, subscribe, see what do. And popped over, I was like, oh, there's like 4 compilations of Hell's Bells right from the beginning. Stuff I've never seen before. Because that's just the way TikTok serves you. Unless you go into the playlist, you're probably not going to see it all. So it was nice to be like, just watch 2 hours of Hell's Bells the other day.
Yay!
I didn't realise quite how much content there was. So it was nice to do that, and then, like, the thing that was on the end of that was, hey, the wedding is done. We've finished filming the wedding. So if you follow the series, 2 of the characters have been... It's gone from just, like, meeting, flirting, being very shy, and all the lore about that, and then we've had months of, like, preparing for the wedding, who's going to be officiating it, which of the many pantheons of basically all possible afterlives, which pantheon is gonna give the main character or one of the main characters away. And then we had like a whole lot of there was like a battle, just like a battle royale of like snipers and all the gods of war and various people trying to win the position of officiating on this. So it's been like a fun thing on top of all the customer service stuff. Warning for the series, it does get pretty heavy sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, Sharky is a character who, they are non-binary, and they dress in a shark onesie. They, like, their origin story is really sad. Like, I listened to it the second time the other day as part of this combo, and I was still in tears again, because it is so sad. But there's like people turning up from the characters' pasts, and like the trauma that might be related to. Some people come to hell and they're only there for level 1, which is basically just therapy. You were badly educated throughout your life, you made some shitty decisions, we're going to put you in therapy for a bit, and then maybe you can reincarnate if you're good. But if you're an absolute arsehole, you might go down to level 9 and with no possibility of redemption or reincarnation.
Yeah.
And then there's, is it Employee Appreciation Day? Happens once a year, which was where they basically unlock all the cells in hell and all the staff get baseball bats. So they can go and beat up whichever person. There was a whole thread for like a couple of episodes of someone turns up at the help desk to complain that they as usual, that they don't belong there. It turns out they worked for a medical insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we had like people who were just like, "Hey, I died of a curable disease, but you wouldn't cover me," which I suppose is very prescient for people in America. And then like the threats of, okay, that person's just that person has their own special realm, and sometimes people from heaven just come down just to beat the shit out of that person for the way they were treated. And yeah, it's a bit cathartic to think that some of these people would actually get some kind of punishment.
Yeah.
And also the kind of things of, we've had really sweet episodes of characters who are like, "Oh no, I deserve to be in hell because I was gay. I tried to hide it. I shouldn't be." And then like, okay, well, it's fine. We'll just ring up God, who will tell you why that's not the case, that you don't, and you're not wrong, and you're not broken. It's really sweet.
Yeah.
And for something that seems to have originally been partially thrown away as kind of a joke, has gone some places.
Aww.
And it's a beautiful series. If you have an inclination, go check it out. If you're not a fan of the Clock app, then there is a lot of it to watch on YouTube if you're interested.
Yeah.
What about you? Have you watched anything else?
That's it for me, I think.
Well then.
Time for this.
Hello, got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, do you find that you do not have time to read book?
Sometimes I find that the case, indeed, yeah.
Do you have interest in reading book?
I do have interest in reading books.
Maybe a new book is happening and you're like, I would like to read a new book.
Yeah,
That
but
would
there's
be
so
good.
little time.
So little time. Well, introducing this week's sponsor, bookportal.lol.net.
Oh, tell me more about this fascinating product and or service.
Well, what you gotta do, they will fit you with a special little portal in your head.
Ooh.
You can get it attached at the back, in your forehead, on top, wherever you prefer. There is a whole range of different options there. You can have like a special cover for it so that it's not obvious all the time, but you just pop open your little portal and you just shove a book in.
Ooh.
All the knowledge immediately absorbed, all the experience right there for you from minute one.
Ooh.
Book portal. Do you want to get the complete works of Shakespeare? Done. You need to learn a whole new thing? Done. Just shove the whole book right in your head. And it definitely hasn't caused any blindness, it says here.
That's very reassuring. I better get that cover. I don't want to get water in the book hole when I'm swimming.
Oh yeah, you definitely don't want to, you probably don't want to let anything that isn't a book into the book hole. Because you just know that then, I guess.
I'm not ready to know water.
Especially not chlorinated water.
Yeah.
Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi.
Hi.
So, I've got a weird one today.
Right. Is this a problem?
I mean, look, it should be a problem.
Right.
But it's not a problem, and it's a problem that it's not a problem. I'm very confused that it's not a problem.
Well, I'm now confused that you're confused about this confusion.
Right. So, you know how we get a lot of paperwork across our desks every week.
I try to fob a lot of it off on the legal and the one that brings us the coffee.
Exactly, but sometimes you just gotta sign a bunch of stuff. Happen.
I tend to just line them all up across my desk and then just sort of lazily just move my arm up and down.
Right, so...
with a pen.
Yeah, I do the same, so it's gonna be very difficult for us to tell which of us made the fuck up here, because it's just a line across the page, so it could have been either of us.
Right.
That new IP that we just released.
Right.
That colorful beat 'em up-y one.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one that everyone's been loving. And
yeah,
is
a
like,
lot
you
of
know,
good critical reception for
yeah,
that. Numbers really going up on that
numbers
one.
really going up on that one. One of us signed a bit of paper, and that game got sold for $30.
$30.
Yeah, not 60, not $70.
I thought we'd agreed
$30.
$70.
Yeah, but apparently one of us didn't look at a piece of paper and signed it, and that game we could have charged $70 for
Right.
got sold for 30.
Right. Could we maybe hire someone to look at the ink on the paper, and maybe they can analyze that, and then we can work out who to blame?
I mean, look, we can try and work it out, but the bigger problem, or lack of problem, is...
I mean, we're just gonna go bankrupt, now, right?
That's what I thought. I assumed we'd go bankrupt.
We're gonna be out on our asses.
Yeah, you know,
I'm gonna have to sell one of my yachts.
One of our video games didn't sell for $70, and therefore we're gonna go out of business.
Right.
Like,
the shareholders.
Yeah,
be...
you know, we're gonna make an absolute loss, no money, terrible.
I'm probably gonna be assassinated.
But like, look at the forum. It's still making profit. Like, maybe not as much as it could have done, and I am upset.
I mean, it is making a lot of profit.
Yeah, look,
we're selling huge numbers of units.
Yeah, no, apparently, lower price means more sell, which is getting us a lot of money.
I don't get it.
Yeah, no, because I thought if we sold it for anything lower than 70, we'd instantly have all of our mega yachts repossessed.
Yeah.
That's how it works, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, that is how the shareholders have basically made me believe that things work. And I myself, as a person with shares, understand that that's how things work. That's all how I always encourage companies to work when I'm at a shareholders meeting, you know.
Yeah.
Monetize it for as much money as possible. You know, we maybe put out one of those little surveys every now and again, like, how much would you consider too much to pay for a game? And then we just go with slightly over that, and then that's the consumer's problem.
Yeah, but we haven't gone bankrupt.
Right.
And we are still making a profit, and I don't understand. I don't understand.
I don't understand, and I am deeply concerned that someone is going to ask us how much we lost. You know, based on these figures, you know, add $40 to that, and you know, that's how much we've lost because we didn't spend the money. I mean, this is absolutely.
I've got an idea for that.
Right,
I think, guys.
right.
So
right.
you know, if the the press or anything asks us, because obviously they're going to be angling to be like, can you sell them for that price in future?
Right.
We don't lie. We don't say we made a loss. What we say is money we could have earned but didn't is a theoretical loss. So I think if we say there was a theoretical earnings loss as a result of the cost, I don't think that's a lie, and I think that you know, keeps the illusion up that we have to sell the games for $70 or we lose out on money.
What if this was a treat for our fans, our loyal fans?
A one-time, never-again treat.
Yeah, you know, this was, you know, a special thing that we did out of the kindness and generosity of our hearts, and obviously we can't afford to keep doing this, but we did this because we value them. We make it sound like it was, you know, for their benefit.
You are a fucking genius.
I know. So, what have you put in your ears?
Well, I talked a little bit about the band L.S.Dunes last week.
Yes.
Because I was going to go out and see them play live, and I did.
And then you did?
Yeah. But before I talk about seeing them live, I will talk about the support band that played before them. A single artist and a guitar, Keely Goldsworth.
Oh, yes.
Really, really good opening act. It is a tough job to be one person fairly quietly and subtly singing with a guitar in front of a crowd that has come for quite a loud, fast-paced, heavy rock band.
Yes.
She did a very good job of using humor and storytelling between songs to get the audience on her side and get them to be quiet and engaging with her music. Really, I was really impressed. I've since come back and listened to some of her tracks online. The live performance had been almost acoustic. She uses a lot more rock, closer to rock guitars and drums in the backing in the studio recorded tracks, and I'm like, yeah, that's okay. She's one of those artists where I'm like, I really enjoyed your live performance, and if I listened to more of you, I'll probably try and find good live recordings of you. very much reminds me of years ago seeing the Homeless Gospel Choir.
Yeah.
The track Untitled, I just vastly prefer the live version to the recorded, because sometimes, like, no, there is something about your energy when you are in a room full of live listeners where something special happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, really impressed by that opening act. Not a huge amount to say about L.S.Dunes, other than they put on a very good live show. I felt old in the crowd. In that usually I turn up like many hours early for rock shows, so I can be like on the barrier at the front.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't this time because we had book signing that we were doing and stuff like that. We had bits we wanted to do first. So I turned up like an hour before doors, and I was able to get fairly near the front. It was the Electric Ballroom in Camden, which is like a small enough venue. You're never going to be that far back. But the second like the band came on stage, like an ocean of phones went up to record. That stayed recording in portrait mode, I might add, recording for like 3 or 4 songs straight, and I'm like, I had my old woman yells at cloud moment where I was like, each one of you, look around for like 3 seconds, see that there's like 100+ other people filming this moment. If you want to relive it later, Google L.S.Dunes, this date, this venue. You'll be able to find all of these other people's footage. Enjoy the show that's happening in front of you. Have a bop along.
Right.
I felt old, but then I did realise I was like, this has probably been going on a lot longer than I'm aware of, but I'm just usually on the front barrier. This is usually probably happening right behind me. So like I was like, this.
I mean, it certainly happened at MCR, I can assure you that.
Oh, for sure. Again, it's happening behind me, so I don't think about it. But this was one of my first experiences of being like, oh god, there's so many of you just standing filming. But had a good dance. The crowd got real energetic. There was not like violent in any way, but there was some really like going for it moshing going on. There was a few points where the whole crowd just like almost 45-degree angle to one side and then back up. There was some real sort of swaying of the crowd.
Wowza.
Some sort of ocean motion. It was a heck of a show, and because one of the support acts dropped out, I got home relatively early. It was great.
Yeah, I think that was the other moment where you were like, I feel so old. It was like, someone's dropped out, so I get to go home and be in bed.
Look, it's one of those, like, had the band I already knew and had come to see it, if they had, like, more than one album's worth of material, I'd be like, no, go play a long set, like, fill out the time that you normally would have finished, like, make up the time for us. But I was like, you only have one album's worth of material. You can't stretch that out. It's fine. I'll take the early night. I'll enjoy it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Getting home from Camden can be a bit of a pain in the bum.
It can be. What about you? What did you listen to this week?
Not a huge amount of listening this week, I'll be honest. There is a new music video up from Pollyanna. The video for Judas.
Yeah.
That was a cool video and a real good bouncy song. I think it's a cover. Yes, I don't know the original.
I believe it's a cover of a Lady Gaga track.
Oh, well, I really enjoyed it, and it was good bouncy, and Pollyanna rocking real good as usual. I've tried to catch up a little bit with just some podcast stuff that I've been a bit behind on. Listened to a bunch of talking to women about video games, which was every now and again there'll be like one series that drops slightly farther behind all the others, and that's been the one I'm like 3 episodes behind on that. But yeah, it's always nice to listen to that show and find out like people who make games and people who work in the game industry in different ways than just journalism. Yeah. You're wonderful, you're fascinating, dear, but sometimes it's interesting to hear different perspectives.
If you're not listening to that show already, go listen to it. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. No particular reason why we'd say that right now.
What? Maybe we talked to a lovely Jonathan about video games.
Maybe we did.
Maybe we did. Who can say? Have you listened to anything else?
That's it for me, really, this week. Oh, actually, no. Sorry. Correct myself. Listened to some new Fallout Boy
Oh,
Fall
yes.
Out Boy been releasing some new tracks.
Yes, new Fall Out Boy is good.
Yeah.
It reminded me of old Fall Out Boy, which is good.
Yeah, it's the best way I can describe it is like, what if old Fall Out Boy picked up some of the theatrics of like what was that Panic at the Disco track like several years back now, where Brendan Urie was turning into a demon during the video.
Do not know.
I had a chorus that said "Finders, keepers, losers, weepers." Nah, can't remember the name of it. But "The Emperor's New Clothes," I think it was called. Very theatrical, like performance, storytelling kind of vibe, layered over original Fall Out Boy. Singing about finding love in the apocalypse. It's exaggerated, it's silly, but like they've really put the whole heart and soul into it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for Fall Out Boy to come back and be making fun, silly music.
I'm ready for the music of my youth to still be of my 20s to be returning, but with new material.
Yeah.
So I can get away with, I listen to new music. True, it's by the same bands I was listening to 20 years ago.
It's new music that I feel like that it sounds like Fall Out Boy, but it doesn't sound like they're trying to be Fall Out Boy who are still like in their 20s. There's a certain degree of like, okay, yeah, we're making new stuff, but we're not afraid to mix it up a little.
I didn't listen to enough Fall Out Boy back in the day, so
that's fair.
I mean, so yeah, I think maybe I wouldn't know their vibe as much, but what I've listened to is like, yeah, that sounds like Fall Out Boy, and I enjoyed the vibe.
The couple of tracks they have released, I've gone, yep, those are both pretty good bops. I'm excited to see what else they got cooking.
Additional bops, please.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I've listened to this week.
Well then,
back to this. Oh god, this has been such an annoying week. Can I tell you about my week?
What's up?
It's been so annoying. So like, I did a video this week. It's been doing
right,
great.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we do. We do videos, right?
I did this great video. I put it up on YouTube where like, I cured a bunch of people's injuries.
All the medical bills.
Paid all their
and
medical bills. But because I gotta make it content, obviously.
Oh right. I mean, that's what we do.
I was like, I'll pay your medical bills, but like, I do want to put you on video showing you have a very happy moment having your medical bills paid.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the trade. You go on camera for me and be content, and I pay for your basic things you need to live.
I mean, like network TV's been doing this for years.
Yeah, right. So like, I put it up, and I'm like, everyone's gonna be so happy at me because I helped a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And like, people started commenting, and they were like, oh, this is no different from when people film themselves giving money to homeless people.
What's wrong with that? I film myself giving money to homeless people all the time.
Well, they keep, people say that about the homeless stuff. They're like, oh, you're only giving money because, you're exploiting people at their lowest moments they might not want on film, but if they want to have your money, they gotta do it. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. I've heard those complaints. But, like, what I did is totally different. Because, like...
Yeah.
I did it for lots of people, and I had like high production value budget.
Yeah, I mean your camera is is a good camera. You got great mics,
and like, look,
you got great lighting,
and like, look, I get the complaints about the don't give money to homeless people on camera because they might not want people seeing them at their lowest. But like, I wasn't doing that here. I was only taking people who.
How can it be their lowest when our figures are that high?
Exactly. Like, how can it be someone's lowest just because they're so desperate for help with their medical bills that they agree to be on a random YouTube channel just to get their medical bills covered?
Yeah, I mean, this is feel-good content. This is feel-good content. It makes people feel good about themselves, and what's wrong with feeling good? Making other people feel good.
I feel good having hundreds of people's medical bills paid for, attributed to me, me, the wonderful savior of everyone who saved everyone.
Absolutely. You're the savior, and you heal the sick, and
but they say
that's
I'm doing
important.
it just to be a savior, and it's just a happy
why would you not be the savior? I mean, do you want to not be the savior? Do you want to be the... Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're out there, taking these people's homes.
Exactly.
You're not the repossession dude.
Right. I don't understand why people can't just say I'm amazing.
I don't know. You are.
So we've let the dough rise over here.
Yeah, I see it's getting all fluffy.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we take one of those and then we're just going to stretch it out here. You can see we've got markers on the table already, so you can see the correct size based on which size they've ordered. And also you need to make sure you're getting the right dressings. And here is also where we would do any sort of stuffed crust things or extra layers if they're having like an extra layer, like a double layer base thing. Okay, so we've stretched that out, and then we pass it along to the next to the next department, the next dressing table, and we're gonna pass you over to Conrad.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
So what do I do with this section?
This is my section. I keep this section immaculate. Oh, I see you've brought me a filthy little pizza base.
I mean, I've
dirty little pizza base.
I've been working very hard to keep it clean.
You've been very naughty, haven't you?
Oh, no, I'm
my
very
little
sorry.
Pizza base.
Oh, the pizza base.
Yes. Yes, this is where Conrad will top the pizza. Dirty little pizza. Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Brochure Justice Warriors.
Brochure Justice Warriors?
Yeah.
All right, Larry.
How you doing?
Oh, yeah, not well, much as usual, mate. You been up to much?
Been watching a bunch of the games industry trying to get into forming unions.
Yeah, it's been good, seeing more of them, taking up the action and collective power and all that.
It's been good seeing a lot of them get through despite the union busting that's been going on.
But,
we have been seeing the first couple of examples of ones that, the union busting's just knocked down before they've really gotten going.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking about a thing that, I've known this for a while, but
Right.
it's good to reiterate to yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel like the best bit of evidence that there is out there that unions are a beneficial thing that people should be looking into, other than the factual numerical data that says that unions lead to better working conditions for all employees within a company.
Yeah.
It's just how hard companies absolutely fight to stop them happening.
Yeah.
Be it in terms of fear-mongering about their results or trying to dissuade people or make people afraid to vote to unionise. Corporations never care about anything that much unless it is their bottom line profits.
Yeah, I mean, even in the UK, you got to look at the way the government is just currently fighting to stop unions having any powers. It's clear that the most power people have is collective action.
Exactly. You look at places that are banning strike action, trying to ban unions. Like, the entire reason they do that is because they recognise that, there are many, many more of us than you, and it allows for power to consolidate and have a voice. They wouldn't fight to stop it if they didn't fear the power that starts to hold.
Oh yeah, they want people feeling as powerless and hopeless as possible, and that they are the only option, and they're the only game in town, and as such, the workers generally have no choice but to turn to the most exploitative and awful companies, and I hope that. More people, stand up and form those collective actions, and eventually we do actually get some real change, because it really feels like we are coming to a real header. Things really haven't been quite as good as they are. Things have been slowly getting less good for the general public since. Since the boomers, really.
Yeah.
They had a real good luck of it. Things were still sort of okay for a lot of people in the 80s, and obviously since then things have just gone downhill, it's shockingly dramatically, really. And
look, a bust often follows a boom. Boom and bust is a phrase, and the boomers had their time, and things have really sort of gone to shit since.
Things really have gone to shit since, and I really hope that we are going to start to see some proper action. I'm hearing a lot from a lot of the Zennials talking about, how hopeless things seem, and that I hope that sort of pushes them as they get a bit older to take more action to change that future, and if they have to, wrench it out of the hands of those who have basically acted so recklessly with with the state of things that that these young people now find themselves in. And I'm not particularly old myself, and it's all very quite concerning, and I hope that more collective action happens.
Yeah.
We've got to show these bastards.
Exactly.
Oh, fancy hug, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Good hug, mate. Good hug. Right, I think I'll go pop the kettle on.
Oh, sounds like a good plan.
Nice.
Laura, we done a book.
We did do a book.
We done did a book.
Do you want to tell us about that book?
It's called Who Hunts the Whale. It's a satirical novel set in the video game industry and what it would be like to go work for an big video game company. And maybe actually it's not the dream job you thought it was.
I was going to guess it would be good. Is it not? Is it not always good?
It's peril. It's peril. It's a story about a person who is maybe a little bit naive, and they have some ideas, and then they have their eyes opened, and they learn a lesson, and the end happens. There, I've spoiled the whole book.
I mean, could have guessed the end happens at the end.
What? The hero's journey? Oh, that happened. Oh, goodness. Storytelling in the traditional...
A three-act narrative structure of sorts.
What? It's available at unbound.com/book/whale.
It's coming out February 16th.
There's 312 copies in this house. Sorry, 311 copies in this house.
Yep, and then like another 300 copies imminently showing up here.
Yeah, we've signed a bunch of them.
Yeah, there's just books everywhere.
Yeah, it's real good. Check it out if you haven't already. You can listen to us being interviewed about it on DLC, Downloadable Commentary podcast. We appeared on that, and we got interviewed.
Yeah, we're showing up in a bunch of places.
I don't know if all of those things are up yet. But...
at least one of them isn't up yet, but I feel like we can say we're going to be on Talking to Women About Video Games coming up soon. I think we can say that.
We can probably say that one.
Yeah.
But so, maybe look into those things. I think people are going to read it and start doing reviews, so you don't have to trust us anymore.
If you ordered a signed copy, there is a 50% chance it's currently in our house already signed.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a 50-50 chance it's one of the ones in our hallway.
We've already doodled in it. Ooh. But where can people find you outside of that one book?
I mean, it's Laura K. Buzz pretty much everywhere. Laura K. Buzz on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills. I can now say this because Season 9 of Dice Funk is finished. Season 10 of Dice Funk is starting soon. And hey, guess what? It's going to be a season of two halves, going back and forth between various arcs. One half I'm going to be a player, the other half I'm DMing.
What?
I'm going to be one of the two co-DMs on Season 10 of Dice Funk, so if you want to hear me being a Dungeons & Dragons DM in... I don't know if we've announced the setting of the new season, but
it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen real soon. You will hear like 3 or 4 episodes of me being a player, then 3 or 4 episodes of me being a DM and back and forth for a season.
I'm very excited for this.
I've
been hearing all the prep work for this.
Oh, I've been working my socks off trying to. I've been so nervous about this, and like, if you're a regular Dice Funk listener, I do not have as much experience as Austin. Let me find my footing, but I'm doing good. I think I'm trying.
Also,
my best.
Austin will save everything in the editing.
Exactly. Make me sound smart in the. I had to save myself in the edit. There was half an episode. There was an episode where 20 minutes of my audio got lost because Audacity stopped recording, and I didn't notice.
Oops.
It's fine. I stayed up till like 3 a.m. fixing it. It was fine. No one will know the magic of edits. What about you? Where else are you on the internet?
Me, Linktree, linktree.ee/Janiac, Janiac. You can find links to get all the t-shirts I've designed. I'm wearing one of them now. It's got Jungle Skorg on it from IKEA, and it says Junglist Movement, because I'm old. And You can get my music under the name Bedroom Programmer. You can help support me for as little as $1 a month over on patreon.com/stonedmonkeyradio. Yeah, you can help me justify all my life choices and so forth and
All
so
of
on.
them, even that one.
Even that, especially that one, where I stay up till silly o'clock in the morning trying to make sure things are entertaining for people, and then, have to get up and do a day job the following day at silly o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
You know.
there's no night Monday to Friday that I finish work before midnight now.
Yep.
At least 2 of them I finish at like 2:30 in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah, the things we do for content.
The things we do to entertain you. So if you enjoy the things we do, and you have a little bit of spare cash, maybe give us a support. If you can't do that, maybe give us a share, and maybe spread the word, and maybe somebody else will be able to support us, and that would be very much appreciated, and maybe someone else will get a laugh, and laughter is really what we're here for. Entment. We're here for the entment. So Laura, will you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.